After helping hundreds of senior professionals navigate their careers, I've noticed the same pattern. The people who transform their careers the fastest aren't working harder, they're not grinding more hours or collecting more qualifications, but they do understand the three rules that everyone else is completely blind to. And in fact, these three insights are what separate the professionals who stay stuck in frustrating roles for decades from those who make bold, fulfilling career moves with complete confidence. So in this video, I'm going to share the exact career transformation rules I've seen change everything for ambitious professionals who've been playing by the wrong rulebook, so you can finally break through your plateau and build a career that actually matches your potential. Over the last few years, I've been invited into rooms most people never get to see: leadership offsites, board-level conversations, and succession planning sessions. And what struck me is this: even the most capable senior professionals hit ceilings that they just don't understand. They're working hard, they're delivering results, but they're still not progressing. Or worse, they're progressing into roles that drain them. So, the first of these four lessons is that most opportunities you see are the wrong opportunities. A few years ago, I was offered what looked like a brilliant opportunity. It was to take on a big client, and it was the kind of assignment people said would set me up for the next stage of my career. And instinctively, I almost said yes. There was a familiar mix of flattery, and it kind of played to my ambitions, and there was a bit of fear of missing out kicking in too. But something didn't feel right, and it was because I hadn't actually stopped to ask myself the most important question: do I actually want what this role gives me? Because up until that point, my entire career had been built on saying yes to things that looked impressive: promotions, new responsibilities, without really thinking about whether they aligned with what energized me. And then, right before replying, I had a moment of clarity that caught me off guard. And I realized that I'd been there before, saying yes simply because an opportunity was available, not because it was right for me. And I saw a pattern. Every time I wasn't sure, I just defaulted to yes. Not because the work was exciting, but because I didn't want to miss out, or didn't want to fall behind, or often I didn't want to disappoint someone senior. And then the real insight hit me. If you don't know what you want next, you'll either repeatedly say yes to the wrong things, or you'll freeze and you'll be unable to choose at all. And that realization changed everything for me. It wasn't about whether the opportunity was good, it was about whether it was good for me. So clarity on what I actually wanted became my filter. Without it, every role looks potentially valuable, which means you end up building a career on other people's expectations instead of your own. And this isn't unique to me. I see it all the time in senior professionals that I coach. Some have said yes to promotions that drain them. Some have said yes to responsibilities that pulled them further away from their strengths. And others were just overwhelmed by too many options. They haven't been able to make a decision at all. So they stayed stuck, waiting for clarity to magically appear. But here's the broader truth. Most senior professionals aren't lacking opportunities. They're lacking a clear direction to judge those opportunities against. And this matters because without clarity, the wrong yes can derail your career. Without clarity, too many choices create paralysis. And without clarity, you'll keep advancing, but not towards what you want. So clarity isn't a luxury, it's the only thing that ensures your next move is a step towards the life and work you actually want. Okay, so lesson 2. What you want must be exciting for you. So one of the biggest patterns I see across senior professionals is that their career can look extraordinary on the outside, but it's quietly draining them on the inside. And you know this is happening when you wake up already tired, even though you slept fine. Or you look at your calendar and you get that sinking feeling in your stomach about the things that you've got to do. Or you're brilliant at your work, but you just don't actually enjoy it anymore. And the most terrible lie that we tell ourselves is that, oh, it's just a busy month. Next month will be better. But every month has felt the same for months. And here's the part that no one really talks about. You can be highly successful at work, but work that is sucking the life out of you. And when you're in this situation, your progress is only in respect of your role or your promotion, but it's not about your own progress on things that mean something to you or who you want to become. So it looks good on the outside, but it feels empty on the inside. And realizing this matters because if you're considering your next move, whether it's a promotion or going to a new company or maybe a total career pivot, if you're evaluating it purely on external markers, so things like the title, compensation, prestige, status, that sort of thing, you're solving the wrong problem. The right question isn't what looks impressive. It's what kind of work fuels me enough to sustain my next decade. Because the work that drains you will never feel like success to you, no matter how impressive it appears from the outside. Okay, so lesson 3, you need conviction. One of the biggest surprises for senior professionals is this: you don't stay stuck because you lack opportunities, you stay stuck because you lack conviction. Most people assume that the hard part is finding the right next move. But for experienced high performers, opportunities aren't usually the problem. The real challenge is choosing one and really knowing why you want to do it. A few years ago, I hit this exact moment myself. I'd done the work, I'd explored various options, spoken to people, gathered lots of information, and I had multiple different pathways that I could pursue. But when it came the time to commit, I just couldn't decide. And I don't think it was fear. Well, maybe a little bit of fear, but I think it was more confusion and hesitation. The type of hesitation that says, don't choose yet, just keep thinking. Or maybe there's a better option if you wait. Or what if you make the wrong decision? And then I realized that I could gather information and keep thinking about what to do forever and still feel unsure. Nothing new was going to magically appear and make the decision feel risk-free. And that's when something clicked. I realized I was lacking confidence because the things I kept thinking about required me to become someone else. I knew that future was going to be more fulfilling, but I felt like a bit of an imposter. And if you're in this situation, I suspect that, like me, you need the confidence that comes from working out a few things: who you really are and who you'd like to be, what your strengths are now, not what they were 5 or 10 years ago, and what you want the next decade of your life to look like. So instead of trying to think my way into the right decision, I just started doing the work that I now take people through in Atomic Ambition. And that's when I got really clear. And once you really know who you are and who you want to be, your decision will be easy too. The conviction that you've been waiting for will finally show up, and it will feel great. Once I made my decision, everything shifted for me. My belief, my momentum, and the opportunities that followed. And people responded differently. Not because I suddenly knew everything, but because I was confident in my chosen direction. And when you do this for yourself, everything will shift for you too. You'll stop asking, what if I make the wrong move? Because you'll know that what you've decided on is exactly the move you're meant to make. Now, I know this might all sound great in theory, so let me tell you what happened when Ben, a very senior leader in a big listed financial services company, went through this exact process with me. He came into Atomic Ambition feeling completely boxed in. On paper, he was doing incredibly well, but internally he knew he needed a change. And like many senior professionals, he'd been going round in circles for a while and really needed some conviction about what to do next. And once he worked through the process and finally understood what actually energized him and what he wanted his next decade to look like, and the environments where he does his best work, everything shifted. And within weeks, he had a clear vision of the type of senior role that he wanted, the confidence to have strategic conversations with decision makers, and opportunities opening up that genuinely aligned with his strengths. And the surprising part for him was that nothing in his external environment had changed, but he had changed. His clarity translated into presence, conviction, and momentum because he finally knew what he was moving towards. And Ben told me, he said, for the first time in years, I'm not guessing. I'm actually steering my career instead of reacting to it. And that shift from uncertainty to conviction can make your transformation possible too. These are the 3 patterns I've seen work for hundreds of ambitious professionals just like you. And hopefully by sharing these 3 rules, it will give you the clarity and confidence to pursue the career transformation that maybe you've been putting off. Maybe your next move is rising to a more senior, more fulfilling role in corporate. Or maybe it's building a high-trust solo business. Or maybe you're still figuring out what you actually want. Whatever it is, just make sure that whatever decision you make is your decision, driven by your values, your energy, and your strengths, not by external expectations or what you think you're supposed to want. Now, if you're ready to get clear on what you want and build the confidence to pursue it, I'll put a link in the description to my Atomic Ambition program, where I walk senior professionals through this exact process. It will help you to finally get clear on what you should do next.